Hello, everyone. Welcome to React Conference 2017. Awesome. Thank you. My name is Tom Okino, and I manage the React team at Facebook. It's hard for me to believe that this is actually just the third time we've put this conference together, because in the past couple of years since the first one, there's been an absolute proliferation of meetups and conferences for React across the globe. There are now dozens of conferences, hundreds of meetups. And events like this are really important because they help bring this community together. They enable us to communicate and collaborate with folks across the industry facing similar challenges and solving similar problems to all of us. One meetup that I've been a part of recently, pretty frequently, we call React Wednesdays. Yeah, a couple of React Wednesdays attendees here. Last year at this conference, Leland from Airbnb and I were talking about how the challenges that his team was facing at Airbnb were very similar to the challenges and problems that we were facing at Facebook. And we also wanted to sort of open the black box a little bit from the React team itself and make it so that we could collaborate more openly with people that work outside of Facebook and use React. And so React Wednesdays was born. And the idea is we get together every couple of weeks on a Wednesday, which is just a day when we have fewer meetings, some of us. And we work on the stuff that we would normally be doing that day, but we do it in the company of engineers from sort of all over the Bay Area. And this has been absolutely awesome for me to sort of empathize with the things that are happening in React and React Native outside of Facebook. This community has grown a lot over the past couple of years. And while it's really, really hard to know or estimate exactly how many people there are using React and React Native every day, one proxy that I use every time I have to prepare for a talk like this is the number of people that have the React developer tools installed in Chrome. It's crazy to me that there are lined up for you guys. One big point I want to make is, last year we got some feedback that the conference overall was a little bit heavily weighted towards the React Native side. So we tried to strike a better balance this year between React and React Native. But I want to make an important point about this. I really don't want to see this community become bifurcated along platform boundaries. One of the best things about React is that it enables us to break down those silos and learn from each other no matter what platform we're building for, whether it's iOS, Android, web, or VR. And so I really want to make sure that we stay as one React community. Of course, there's going to be React Native conferences and React Web and React VR conferences and meetups and things like that. But I want to make sure we don't lose sight of what makes this community so strong and so powerful. So thank you for that. Thank you. On to a couple of housekeeping things and logistics. So we're in the main room here, but if you want to get away from all the talks at any point, over on my right, your left, there's a nice chill room. There's tables in there, outlets you can plug in. If you got some work to do, you can hang out there. The entire React and React Native teams are going to be hanging in there after the keynote during the break. Come say hello, meet us. Everybody would love to meet you. That's why we put these things together, is because we really want to engage with the community. So come say hello over there. I'm not going to put the whole schedule up on the screen. There's a lot of content. You can see kind of the printed boards outside. But I am going to put two very important times up here. Lunch is going to be at 1 p.m. both days, and then the happy hour is going to start at 6 p.m. Tomorrow we have a really nice party closing party at Parcel 104, which is the restaurant you may have walked past coming over from the hotel. Really excited about that. And then again, follow along with the schedule. If there's any minor changes or anything, you'll see those on the website. And also, I want to give a quick shout out to the folks at ThinkMill. Created an awesome conference app, and then they open sourced the app. I think one of you is right here. That's great. They open sourced the app, so it's a great example of a React Native app, and you can kind of try that out and follow along. Thank you, ThinkMill. And you can keep it going because that's it. We're done up here. Thank you so much. We're going to have a break, and then we'll get into Lynn Clark's talk. I'm really excited about the next 2 days. Thank you all for making your way out here. Cheers. again, everyone, and welcome back. I'm really excited for our next talk. Lynn Clark's coding cartoons have helped me understand lots and lots of complex topics. Her coding cartoon on Fiber is no exception. I saw a dry run of this. I'm really excited about the talk. It even helped me understand Fiber, which I've been sitting with the team for a long time while they work on it. So everybody, please welcome Lynn Clark.
All returns a promise, and then now I have all of those values that were all done in parallel, right? But then I have them synchronously as a value, and then use the structuring in order to get those individual values. So I just made 5 different asynchronous calls, get unique authors, read the file, and then the 3 parallel files, did them all in code that looks synchronous, right? And then at the end, I'm returning 42, just because, right? But what happens is that an async function, when you return a value, that value gets wrapped in a promise so that something else that was using fun with async can then await the value that's returned back from it. So you can kind of keep having your synchronous functions using together. So hopefully you're feeling this way about asynchronous functions, because this is how I felt the first time I saw them. It's like, wow, all of my helper code that I'm writing along with React, I can now just use synchronous codes. All my libraries that are doing asynchronous code, it's just written synchronously, and it's just amazing, an amazing way to write. So this is what we had before, again, and this is what it gets converted into afterwards. So it's a little bit less code, but I would say that it's more declarative, more clear as to what it's doing, and it's all synchronous code instead of having to be all written synchronously, even though it has some async properties in it. So I created a repo that goes through all of these things step by step. I only showed 5 of the steps, but there are more steps in terms of going from ES5 all the way to this ES next. So there's a repo if you're interested in learning more about modules and classes and block scoping stuff I just glossed over and skipped over. You can go to this repo and follow the steps as well. So you can see a working app go from ES5 all the way to the end. There are 9 steps in total. And also have additional resources that you can read up on. So I have a whole blog series on ES6. Axel Roschmeyer wrote this great chapter in his book about async functions that you can read. And then lastly, Eventbrite, we have a whole bunch of people writing a lot of React, a lot of ES Next, and we want some cohesion amongst that code. So we wrote style guides on how to do both. So if you're interested in kind of best practices, or at least the practices that we've adopted, I would suggest you take a look at those links as well. All right, so at the end, I like to always kind of thank people in my talk. So first, I want to thank React Conf for having me, and also for obviously putting on the conference as well. So I want to thank Tom and Beth for inviting me. 2 years ago, I had never even heard of React, and last year, like, it was just my dream to come to React Conf. I mean, I didn't get in, right? But now here I'm speaking on stage and be able to share what I've learned about React, what I've learned about ES Next with you. So that's a great privilege for me to be able to be here. Secondly, I want to thank Eventbrite for allowing our team to be able to make that conversion from Backbone to React so that we can improve our code base, improve our development experience with React so that I could learn all these things and then be able to share with you. And they've all been really supportive of me coming and speaking at different places, so I'm thankful for that. And then lastly, thankful for all of you for being here, for listening in. Granted, it's a single track, so you had nowhere else to be but here, right? But you're still here and not going, trying to get in front of the lunch line, so that I'm really appreciative of as well. So thank you very much, everyone.
Ben, thank you so much. That was awesome, super practical, and you're an awesome speaker. Thank you so much. Real quick, couple logistics before you let you head off to lunch here. Just a reminder that today we're going to have a pretty fun happy hour in the conference space here in the room over, and then the lunchroom over on the other side of that. Ben Alpert from the React team went and bought a bunch of games, so we're going to have all sorts of board games and stuff like that. So I just wanted to give a plug for that so people can kind of plan their evenings and afternoons out. We're going to get to lunch in a minute here, but one thing we like to do here is collect real-time feedback. And we got some feedback on Twitter. There's a severe lack of Brent on stage this year on the mic, so Brent, if you're here and you want to make an appearance after lunch. All right, thanks everyone. Enjoy your lunch. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed lunch. I found it to be pretty awesome. We got a couple more awesome talks lined up for you before the next break. We're going to have some lightning talks at the end of this session, too. But the first talk is going to be by Preeti Kasareddy. There's a lot of different ways to manage your application.
With a papaya with background, and then an H1 that's aligned in the center with a pale violet red color. So why is style components specifically awesome? First, you write actual CSS. So your designers can go in and style your application, even though you're writing your styles in JavaScript, and you can use all the power of JavaScript. You can still have your designers write your CSS, right? Your people, everybody can do that. It's not, if people know CSS, they know styled components. We've built in theming, so if you have a shared component library, theming is really, really easy with styled components. And we also have React Native support, because I like styled components. I like using styled components, and I don't want to style my React Native applications any differently than I style my web applications. So you can render those components slightly differently with a view and a text, of course, with the React Native primitives, but you can just use styled components on React Native. Now, I can stand here all day and talk to you about how awesome styled components is, but maybe you want to listen to some other people. Kenzie Dodds recently tweeted that he didn't really think styled components, he didn't try it, but now he's tried it for 30 minutes and loves it, right? Or you have Sebastian McKenzie tweeting, I fucking love styled components. So if you don't want to listen to me, listen to these people. Try styled components. It's awesome. I have to thank the folks from ThinkMill who are in the audience here, Jet Watson and Boris. They've been sponsoring me for a year to make this a reality, to make styled components as awesome as it is. We're really close to version 2 release, so keep an eye out for that. And if you come find me around the conference, I have a bunch of stickers that I want to hand out. So come find me. I'll give you stickers. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Max. So Netflix was one of the very early adopters of React, and Feather is going to come up here and talk about how Netflix is building applications for a studio in the cloud. Take it away, Feather.
Hello. All right, so my name is Feather Nee, and just to get it over with, yes, that is my real name. I did not make it up. And that means that we do a lot of the things that help support the creative people so they can just be focused on being creative. So we help content buyers pick the best content given the fact that they don't have an unlimited budget. You can kind of think about this as a word problem. How many of you love word problems? Oh yeah, tons of you raised your hands. Actually, nobody did. So what does that mean, best content? It can mean a lot of things, right? It could mean that you're bringing new types of vision to different types of stereotypes. Netflix, I think, actually coined the term strong female lead. So yes, all those things, we do try to do all those things. Okay, I don't know why that went ahead 3 slides, but anyway. But how do we know what you will watch? We don't actually know anything for sure. We make educated guesses. We know what you will probably watch using statistical models. So we have a lot of mathematicians doing interesting things in our application. Those models are pretty much always wrong, but we still manage to get it right more than we get it wrong. That's the point, really. So the challenge for our, #1 challenge for our application was to take all of this really complex data and make it easy to interpret. We also needed to do this for the entire world, which made it even more exciting. So yeah, we all were new to React last November. And if you think back on last November, that's probably the only weird thing that happened last November. So the hardest part about learning React was really just getting started. This was right before Create a React App came out. Yeah, just getting started was really hard. So we learned a lot along the way. We learned to lift up state. That was a great thing to learn. Keep it simple. That's something we try to do anyway. We actually started out with a bunch of reducers, and then we took them out. We realized we don't actually need reducers, so we just use state. We'll probably go with MobX. We're a small team. We're 2 people. So you guys had that talk already. Preeti killed it out there. So we also use ES6 class syntax. We use a lot of stateless functional components where we can, because as you know, all the problems with React usually come from state. We also use a lot of unit tests. So every component that we built had about 80% coverage. It really helped us kind of increase our confidence because we were all kind of new to it. So a big shout out to React Select. We love React Select. React Icons, React Deep Picker. Yeah, Jed Watson, I think, is here somewhere. We also used React Drop Zone, notification system. We also just decided to write some of our own things, so we wrote our own modals. Unfortunately, I can't show you the application because it has a lot of proprietary data in it, but I can tell you that it's very cool looking. And if you have any questions, feel free to find me at break or during happy hour. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Feather. Okay, so we've reached that time. It's time for another break. We're going to pick it back up here at 4:30 with a couple of talks about React Native. Then we're going to have, some fans over there. And then we're going to have a couple more lightning talks, and we'll wrap up the day. So be back in here at 4:30. Enjoy some snacks. Take a break. Thanks. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you've all been enjoying the conference so far. Woo! Yeah, thank you. I love it. The next two talks are going to be about React Native, and I think these talks are really important for the entire React Native community. One thing we've learned over the past couple of years is that, as Jing said, we don't want to re-implement everything in JavaScript. We don't want to JavaScript all the things. We need to use the platform wherever it makes sense. And so, whether it's web or iOS or Android that you're building for, we have to take advantage of the capabilities that are inherent in these existing platforms as much as we possibly can. And Leland is going to talk about that concept as applied to navigation. His talk, I saw a dry run of it. This is great. I'd like to invite Leland up here to talk about React Native in the brownfield.
Native libraries that we've included. Others are modules that we maintain and curate. There's a whole list at that web URL there, but a lot of stuff that people care about is there, and it's growing all the time. And further, if you do need to run your own native build step, which happens, right? You can eject, just like Create React App. This creates iOS and Android folders for you. If you're familiar with React Native's project structure, you do have to install Xcode and Android Studio if you want to do this. So, that's kind of the trade-off there. And, quick plug, we have an easy way to share your project with other developers using the Expo app. If you haven't gone through that whole eject process, you can publish it up to our service. And people have the ability to access that from a nice stable URL. So that said, that's pretty much the rundown. I definitely hope that everyone's able to give it a try. I'm very open to feedback. I'll be at the happy hour this evening as well as all day at the conference tomorrow. And you can find me on Twitter. Bug reports and feature requests on the repo, which you can see the URL for, are very welcome. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks for your time.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. So this brings our day one to a close, and I just have a couple of quick announcements. The first thing I want to do is I want to thank all of the speakers. The content was awesome so far. I'm really looking forward to going back and watching a lot of these talks again, actually. I'm really excited to play with some of the technologies that we've seen. A lot of this stuff is super practical, and I feel like, I already was getting messages backstage like, wow, we really need to try this library from Wix, and I totally agree. I can't wait. Just a quick couple of things. The happy hour is going to start right after this, right next door, kind of where lunch was. We're going to have drinks and snacks and things like that. We also have some games again, so if you want to stick around for a couple hours, hang out, mingle, the whole React and React Native core teams will be hanging out. We also, if you check your email, you should have just received a survey link. We really want to get feedback on how we're doing with content. We put a lot of time into, or actually the speakers put a lot of time into their talks, and we did dry runs and all these other sorts of things. And so we want to make sure that any feedback we can get back to them gets back to them, so we can keep improving things as we go over time. The other thing we're going to do is tomorrow we're actually going to have, to close out the conference, we're going to have a panel/Q&A. And to figure out what questions everybody wants to hear answered, what we're going to do is we're going to post a link into the conference Slack channel. If you're not in that, ask a friend, ask somebody who is to help you get an invite to it. But hopefully most of you received an email. We'll post a link to a survey, and you can sort of ask any question that you want. And what we'll do is tomorrow we'll have a couple members of the React and React Native teams, and maybe whoever, we'll figure out who else wants to come up and answer some questions. Maybe we'll keep a lot of the speakers around. Finally, I just want to thank all of you. We had thousands of people tune into the live stream today, and we have hundreds of you, at least 500 people here in person today. This community is amazing. I've loved all of the conversations I've had so far today, even though they were in very small bits because I was kept running on and off of stage. But I'm looking forward to continuing those conversations at the happy hour and lunch tomorrow and at the closing party tomorrow night. Thank you all very much. Enjoy yourselves. Can't wait for day 2. Thanks. Welcome back, everyone. Just a quick thank you to Phil on the ones and twos. We had some great pump-up jams this morning to get us moving backstage. That was awesome. How's everybody enjoying React Conf so far? Nice. Awesome. I'm having a great time. I've had some amazing conversations. Every year we debate whether or not we should just scrap the talks altogether so that we can just have breaks. Because the conversations that we have in the breaks are so meaningful, they're so important, and they're awesome. But then we remember that all of the talks are absolutely awesome, so we're definitely not going to scrap the talks. Last year we had some great content. Today we also have some great content lined up. We love getting your feedback. A lot of people filled out the survey that we emailed to you. Thank you for that. We're sorry the chairs are so close together. That's actually part of the appeal. We're really trying to bring the community closer together. Again, we have a bunch of great talks lined up today. I'm really excited about kind of the future, the direction of React as we kind of expand to more platforms. And I think VR is really sort of the next frontier. And so our first talk today is actually going to be about VR. So I'd like to welcome up Michaela to tell us a little bit about going beyond the flatland. Welcome, Michaela.
Thank you, Tom.
Once finalized, the specification will enable the community to build an ecosystem of GraphQL subscriptions clients and servers across a variety of languages, transports, and backends. Suffice to say, none of this would have been possible without the amazing support